Hi YouTube, I thought I'd just quickly go over how I create disk images for my BlueSCSI. So what I'm doing here is I'm just googling BlueSCSI disk images, and this will allow me to download from GitHub a selection of pre-made disk images. Now these are of various different sizes and they range between 100 megabytes and 2 gigabytes. Next I'm going to Google Immaculation BasiliskII. Now this is a 68K emulator, and what it will do is it will allow us to make a virtual machine that we can use to install macOS onto the disk image. Next I'm going to Google Immaculation BasiliskII GUI, and what this is it's a graphical config for Basilisk. Otherwise you have to use the preference file and it's a bit complicated. Next we're going to Google Redundant Robot Sheep Shaver. This website allows us to download a ROM file and that will be used to boot the virtual Mac, and also there's a Mac startup image here and that's quite useful. It's a pre-made 160 megabyte disk image that we can boot the virtual Mac from. Now we're just downloading a copy of macOS 8 from WinWorld PC. You can get it from a couple of other websites, but this one I find the download's quite quick. And we want to download the Apple macOS 8 ISO. Now you can use other versions of macOS, but I prefer version 8. So here you can see at the top we've got the ISO of macOS downloading, we have the boot disk image downloading, we have a 1 meg Mac ROM file, BasiliskII GUI, Basilisk, and then a folder called Mac HD. So the Mac HD folder contains the pre-made disk images that will work with the BlueSCSI. Right, now we've got all those downloaded, we're going to open up the macOS 8 ISO. It's actually a 7-zip file, so we just need to decompress that first. Next, we'll choose a disk image. I'm going to use the 500 megabyte disk image here. And then we're going to open the BasiliskII GUI. So this is a nice front end. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the disk images that we're going to need to boot the machine. So they're currently in my downloads folder. We'll start with the Mac boot system 755. We can't add the 500 megabyte disk at this point because the extension needs to be changed to DSK or IMG. BlueSCSI uses HDA. So you'll have to change that back again once we're finished with the VM. And then finally we're going to add the macOS 8 ISO. Now this bit you don't necessarily need to do, but I want to transfer a file over once I've configured my virtual machine. So this is a folder that you can share between your Mac and the virtual machine. Now I set the window refresh rate to 30 Hz and I also change it to 800 by 600, but you can leave those. So here we need to change the amount of system memory, the type of machine, the type of processor, and then we need to choose the ROM file that we downloaded. And that should be it. So if we start BasiliskII now, I want to access my downloads folder because I specified that folder. So here we are inside macOS 7.5.5, and here is the 500 megabyte disk image. Now to avoid any confusion, I'm just going to rename this to Macintosh HD, and I just want to change the color depth. There we are. So about this Mac, here we are, we can see the virtual machine has 36 megabytes of memory and is running 7.5.5. So we will open up the macOS 8 installer and begin the install. So we're choosing Macintosh HD. This is the 7.5.5 disk image, and it has the same name, which is why I renamed the other one to Macintosh HD. And we'll go away and not bother installing any of these extras. Now I'm going to do a custom install. I'm going to get rid of a couple of other options as well. Quick Draw 3D doesn't work on 68K, so there's no point installing that. And the rest I'm going to leave. So here I'm going to do a custom install. I'm going to choose the option at the top, Universal System for any supported computer. This means I'll be able to use this disk image not only on Basilisk but also on Sheepshaver. And I just want to install the control strip, because by default macOS 8 doesn't install it for some reason. So we'll just go ahead and wait for the installer to do its thing. Now of course you don't have to create a virtual machine, but it's a lot easier to do it on your current computer and download files and transfer them backwards and forwards rather than actually doing it on physical hardware. So the installation is now complete, but there is a slight issue that I found on Windows. It causes the machine to crash on boot up. So if we go to the system folder and get rid of this A-Rose extension, that causes macOS to hang on Windows, so we'll just delete that before we boot into the OS. So I'm going to shut the machine down. I'm going to open up the BasiliskII GUI, and I'm going to remove the disks I don't need. So here we are booting into a fresh copy of macOS 8. Now I quit the setup assistant because sometimes I find that it causes the machine to hang. What we're doing now is going to Macintosh Garden and we're going to download Aaron. And what Aaron gives us is the Platinum UI for macOS 7. And the reason why I want to do that is because I don't like the hard disk image, the icon. And in the Aaron folder you'll see that there is a nice folder with a custom icon which we can copy and paste over our disk image. And just like that we're done. So what you can now do is go away and customize your virtual machine. You can install whatever software you want, and then you can copy the disk image over to an SD card and pop that into your BlueSCSI, and you will then have a working macOS installation for your old Mac. Just don't forget, if you are going to copy over this disk image to your BlueSCSI, that you need to rename it from DSK to HDA, otherwise your BlueSCSI won't see the disk image.